I guess I'm just inspired to tell stories.
Today's episode is titled Dear Frank Ocean, I Owe You, from a Big Fan. And I am the writer, Tyler Bay, from Hollywood Insider. On August 2nd, my phone lit up with a Twitter notification from the account @TeamFrankDaily, reading, "Our hearts are shattered for Frank and his family. Rest in peace, Ryan Bro." Frank Ocean's brother, Ryan Bro, along with Ryan's friend, Ezekiel Bishop, had died in a car crash. Scanning the text on my phone, the words "Frank, hearts are shattered and rest in peace" froze my world for the longest millisecond I've ever known. After carefully rereading and discovering that it was Ryan who had passed, I sat in shock for a different reason. Although I do not know Frank or his brother and will not pretend to, as an artist in his time, I personally give him his flowers. I am not an award show or an acclaimed music critic. I am just a fan whose life has changed with incredible music from a brilliant artist. An introduction to meaningful music from Frank Ocean. It wasn't until 8th grade that I opened Apple Music on my new iPhone 6 and started my free trial. After 13 years, I was finally beginning to take control of my music consumption, finding out what type of music I actually liked instead of just listening to whatever the radio introduced me to. When I discovered Frank Ocean a year later, he revolutionized my music taste and thus who I was as a person. At every major occurrence of my life, since 9th grade, I have listened to Frank Ocean. I listen to him on just about every plane ride, every long road trip, and sometimes just to pass time. Frank Ocean's music gives me an appreciation for beautiful things. As an artist, Frank taught me how to be an artist. Listening to his music taught me how to tune into the art around me. I see it and hear it too. In just about every moment of stillness, I listen to Frank Ocean and open my eyes to the gorgeousness around me. Like many young Frank Ocean fans, the first record that made me fall in love with his discography was Blonde, a soul-capturing gaze into Frank's loves, losses, and gripping fears. Hearing this album was like seeing a new color for the first time. At the start of the album, with the song Nikes, I was roped in by unique vocal pitches, enthralling storytelling, and Frank Ocean's signature sincerity that makes every line a hypnotic look into his mind.
I got two versions.
And by the start of Ivy, I was hooked. I've never heard music that sounded like it was designed with me in mind. The couplet of Nikes and Ivy at the beginning of the album was the start of everything. Nikes is like swimming in distorted space, passing by holy bodies, figments of Greek gods, and floating constellations. Although the heavenly music and vocals are elevating in its first half, the second is much more grounded, introducing a guitar, making the second half of the song slightly more traditional than the first. As the tone shifts in the song's second half, so does the delivery of the lyricism. In the first half, Frank sings in high-pitched auto-tune, and in the second half, the pitching is stripped away to reveal a much more natural-sounding Frank, delivering lyrics by rapping.
Let you guys prophesy, we gon' see the future first. Living so the last night feels like a past life.
Many Frank Ocean fans know him from his affiliation to the rap group Odd Future Wolfgang Kill 'Em All, or Odd Future, which produced the likes of Tyler the Creator, Ed Sweatshirt, Sid, and many more. In the group, Frank predominantly rapped.
Rent a supercar for a day. Drive around with your friends, smoking down of that haze. Roll easy on the ounce, that's a lot for a day.
When the group split, Frank and Tyler stuck close together and still do, as the duo was recently seen biking together 9 years after OF and 3 years after their song named after the same pastime. In 2011, Frank Ocean released Nostalgia Ultra online for free. This is also an entry point for fans of Frank, as the album dissected memory, relationships, time, and everything in between. Although it would be nice to say I've been listening to Frank since the beginning, I was introduced to Frank when I needed him the most. 9th grade was a devastating year for me as I transitioned from middle school with community support and arts programs to 9th grade, where I was stranded in lack of self-expression and connectivity. Had I found Frank in any other year, I would not be the fan I am today. Boys Don't Cry. 2016 was an essential year for my coming of age. Shadowed by the darkness of closeted queerness and insecurity, 2016 was the year I began the process of self-discovery, a process still underway. The same year and month as the release of Blonde, the trailer for Moonlight aired on YouTube. In 9th grade, I watched the Moonlight trailer nearly every week, exuberant for its release, while simultaneously streaming Blonde just about every day. The song Good Guy explores relationships, the adventure and newness of being young and queer. Blonde was the first album I needed to begin reconciling my own sexuality. Even today, I'm hearing new meanings in the album, new relevances, as I too stay the same and transform just like the album. As my personal circumstances change, so too does my personal understanding of the album. When I had my first experience with death, I had no idea what toll it would take on me over time. That night after the funeral of my aunt, I curled up under blankets and played Siegfried, my favorite song from the album and of all time. Imagine sitting under a lone tree, watching a deep, warm sunset in a field, accompanied by nothing other than your own circumspection. The cicadas and crickets around you don't chirp, rather, they ask more questions about fleeting life and the mysteries within and beyond. I listened to the song twice that day and wept the second time. Although the song is pretty specific to Frank's life, in his vulnerability I find my own fears, doubts, and pain. As a black male, Frank taught me how to be a man. In Siegfried, I hear the truth of a man who's relinquished societal fears and found freedom.
I'm high and I'm by, wait, I'm straight. I'ma get you this wine, the runner just brought the grapes. My brother, give it some time.
In 2011, Frank Ocean came out as presumptively bisexual in an open letter on Tumblr. He described his first love, a man who he met at 19. He realized that love is not restrained by worldly limits like the sky. The last line of the letter is my favorite. I feel like a free man. If I listen closely, I can hear the sky falling too. The entire letter is a work of immense poetry, a breath of art and beauty, a letter I wouldn't fully understand till many years later. Everything I learned about Frank, I respected and admired. In 2016, Frank Ocean finessed his negligent record label in one fell swoop of genius and created his own, titled Boys Don't Cry. With Frank Ocean having the autonomy to create under his own terms, we may have only seen the beginning of his genius. Although it's been 4 years since his last full album, over the years Frank has released a series of singles to keep fans enticed. He's a secretive man, often disappearing off the face of the earth for long periods of time. It's this behavior that makes us forget that Frank Ocean used to frequently do interviews, frequent collabs, even submit for award shows.
What was it like finding out that you had 6 nominations?
My mom called me screaming, and I went right back to work because I'm like weird like that, but
It was too much. It's a little overwhelming.
I was really happy though.
I'm just a perfectionist, man.
On the hit album, the song Pyramids is a 10-minute masterpiece that parallels Egyptian imagery with the story of a relationship with a sex worker. Frank tells this story in a way that leans into the artistry of the relationship rather than in a way that dehumanizes her. The music itself is a feat of genius, as the actual notes of the song and lyricism of the song reflect that of a pyramid. If there's one thing I've learned from trying to understand Frank Ocean, is to do everything with intention, to think about every aspect of everything I touch. A future of freedom. Frank Ocean has influenced me in so many ways, with far more songs and instances of true manhood. But after a while, I realized that Frank Ocean's music gives me the same central message, the message I believe to be one that I can build my life on. And that message is, continue to transform. I do not know Frank Ocean, and I will not pretend to. I don't know the loss of losing a brother, but I know Frank's music, which continues to transform and move to new places, many of which I've never seen before. Considering the circumstances, Blonde may be his last official album, who knows? If my own brother died, I'm not sure if I myself could carry on, keep making art or writing. But one thing is for sure, Frank will continue to transform, and I don't necessarily mean in the form of new creation or art. His old music will also ring new messages and new ideas in us as fans as we keep Frank in our prayers during this time. As we all get older, what Frank has done will not wither. In my favorite song, Higgs, from his album Endless, Frank sings, "And had this been the past, I might not know, what to do with all of what you've showed, what you give, my words can't hold. And if acts of God breaks us apart, least we did ours. Indeed, no matter what the future holds, at least we did what we did. Finding new appreciation and gratitude for life is truly all we can do in the face of death. On the chance you are reading this, as fans, our condolences are with you, Frank. I cannot give you any award of distinguishment. The most I can give you as a fan is an admittance that I owe you. I owe you for the artist I am today. Thank you. We'll see you soon, if not in the future, in the past, where you've shown us how to be free.